So we are on 913, and let's just discuss how we would approach something that looks like a cylinder. So first off, let's decide what our three dimensions are: height, width, and depth. So the height of the cylinder, well, it would be the exact same from top to bottom. So we're looking at this. This is a diameter. It's tough to see, but there are little arrowheads on that dimension line. So the height would be 2. The width from left to right is 4 inches. So that's 4. And then our depth, front to back, well, it's a circle, so it's the same exact thing as the height. That would also be 2. Now we need to decide on our spacing. So what is the most descriptive view of this? If we keep it the same as the other ones and we call this the front, we call this the side, and this would be the top. Well, if you think about the front and the top, they're going to be the exact same. So what we're going to show is the front and the side view, and we're going to eliminate the top view. So that means the spacing for this one is going to be slightly different. We're just going to create a center line going through the entire thing. So if my paper has a drawing space of 6.5, half of 6.5 is 3.25. So basically, the center of my view is a circle or a cylinder, so it's going to be right along that construction line. Then I'm going to do the math for my horizontal spacing. So I have 4 inches plus 2 inches, that would be 6. So let's do this on the paper. So for the horizontal spacing, we are dealing with 9.5 inches to draw within. I just said we have 4 plus 2, that equals 6. If we take the 9.5 and subtract the 6, we have 3.5. We've been making that middle space 1 inch, so I'm going to subtract that 1 inch, call that middle space. We are left with 2.5 for either end. So we are going to divide that by 2, and that equals 1.25 for our other spaces. We'll just call that S. Alright, so now I know exactly where things are going to go along this construction line. I know I'm going to have a 1.25 inch space. So this is where my front view is going to start. This is called blocking in, when we create the rectangles that our views are going to exist within. So depending on what I want to call my front view, I actually think it's better to draw the circle as my front view. This one's up for debate though. So if my diameter is 2, I come over 2 inches. Then I have a 1 inch space. And then my side of my rectangle is 4 inches, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And I should have about 1.25 as my end space. So now I know that my height, I'm actually just going to go ahead and draw my front circle because I know it's 2 inches. So I'm going to use my compass. And remember, with a compass, you're setting the radius. So I need to make sure I'm not setting this to 2, I'm setting it to 1 inch. And I need to place my center line. So before you ever use a compass, you first need your center line. So there's my 1 inch. I need to make the vertical. So small dash in the middle, long dash, long dash. These are very, very light lines. I'll trim them up later. But for my horizontal direction, I've already actually measured, so I know where to stop them. So small dash, long dash just beyond my 1 inch, like so. Sorry, I drew those in the wrong place. Well, let me fix that now. I got confused with my 1 inch mark. So this is the center. Small dash, long dash, long dash. Put your compass point down. Alright. And draw your circle. Now for my height, it's going to be shared, so I can actually just project this over. Now this is where I say you can start trying to visualize where your views are going to be. So I know that the front edge will start here, so when I project, I can avoid erasing some by just skipping that area of my paper and coming over about an inch and drawing my construction lines. Now I know the front of this, you're not actually going to see that circle view, but a cylinder from the side, you just see a rectangle. I'm going to draw my object line here. Draw my object line. There. I can come back in and clean up my lines, making sure they end in the corners where they're supposed to. Alright. Now, I'm not done yet. There's another detail here. It says 0.75 through. What that means is there's a diameter, this small hole goes all the way from this right side through to the left side. So this is essentially a pipe. So I have my compass, but anything that is smaller than an inch, I say go ahead and use that green stencil for. So you have your circle stencil, and yours might look a little bit different than mine. But to use this, and you could use your compass, but it gets a little tricky when you're doing small circles, and this one's kind of right in the middle. So for this, you're not looking for a radius anymore, you're actually looking for that diameter. So I'm looking for 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. So there are quite a few circles on here. Here is my 3/4. So when you use this one, let's get our other tools out of the way. I'm going to line up, there are 3 holes on all sides of my circles, so I line up these 3 holes with my center lines. So you look down until you see there's lines in your marks. You might have one that has little tick marks. Some of them even have tick marks on all 4 sides. Just make sure you're not confusing it with the one next to it. So if I'm looking at these, make sure I'm not lining this hole up for this circle. So that looks good. Make sure your graphite holder is nice and sharp. And strike your circle. Now in this view, this hole goes through this pipe, but I can't see it in my side view. So what I'm going to do is change my line conventions. But instead of measuring 0.75, I'm just going to project from my front view. So I'm lining it up with the bottom of my circle and making hidden lines across this view. Your hidden lines should be lighter than your object lines and just be consistently spaced dashes. Your hidden line should also end into the object line, so you shouldn't start your space right when you get started, but you should actually connect it with that object line first, like so, and then start your spacing. If you have to stretch your last dash, then do so. Or just give a small dash to make it work. So right here there's a small space in mine, I want that to continue. Now you can see some of my dashes are a little darker, right where I started and ended. I just want those to be consistent. So it might be tedious, but you want to lighten those up so your hidden lines are a different line convention than your object lines. Now I'm going to shorten my center lines. They should just extend beyond my circle, about 1/8 of an inch. Small dash, long dash, long dash. And then I should also have a center line that goes through the axes of my side view of my cylinder. So I'd have a short dash right in the middle, and it would extend out beyond the edge of my cylinder walls. So long dash, short dash, long dash, and you can actually connect them, or they should connect because it's the same circle or the same axes through both views. Look to see if there's anything else to clean up on your drawing. And this one's complete.